You have probably spent time alone today, maybe this morning before anyone else was awake. Maybe on a commute, earphones in, sealed off from everyone around you. Maybe right now. And it felt normal. It felt fine. Maybe it even felt good. But for almost the entire history of your species, being alone was not a choice. It was not a lifestyle preference. It was not a personality type. Being alone, truly alone, separated from your group for more than a few hours, was one of the most dangerous situations a human being could find themselves in. And your brain, the same brain processing these words right now, was built in that world. It was shaped by 300,000 years of a single, non-negotiable truth. Alone means dead. This is the story of why ancient humans never lived alone. And when you understand it, the way you feel in crowds, the way you feel when someone cancels plans, the way you feel at 3 in the morning when the room is too quiet, all of it will make a different kind of sense. Start with the numbers. A single human being, unassisted, is not a particularly impressive animal. You have no claws, no venom, no thick hide. Your speed is modest. Your strength, relative to your size, is unremarkable. You cannot smell a predator from a kilometer away. You cannot see in the dark. You are, by almost any physical measure, a fragile, slow, soft-bodied creature that evolution has placed in some of the most demanding environments on Earth. What you have instead is other people. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford University spent decades studying the relationship between brain size and social group size across primates. What he found became one of the most cited findings in evolutionary anthropology. The size of the neocortex, the outer layer of the brain responsible for complex thinking, planning, and social cognition, predicts almost exactly how large a social group each primate species can manage. And for humans, that number is approximately 150. Not a coincidence, not a cultural accident. 150 is the size of the group the human brain was literally built to navigate. It is the number of people you can maintain meaningful social relationships with. Beyond that, the relationships become shallow. Below it, the group can function with extraordinary coherence. That number, 150, is not just a cognitive curiosity. It is a survival system. Because in the ancient world, what a group of 150 people could do together was categorically different from what any individual could do alone. A single person cannot watch all directions at once. A group can post sentinels. A single person cannot bring down a large animal. A group can coordinate a hunt. A single person who falls ill has no one to bring them food or water. A group has redundancy. A single person who is injured cannot move fast enough to escape a predator. A group can carry them. A single person who dies leaves their knowledge lost. A group preserves it. Every advantage that made humans the dominant species on this planet was a group advantage, not an individual one. The human brain, the human body, the human reproductive strategy, all of it was optimized for life inside a group. Alone, you are one of the least impressive large mammals on Earth. Together, you are something that has never existed before in 3 billion years of life on this planet. And ancient humans understood this not as a philosophy, but as a felt reality. Researcher Mathew at Arizona State University has studied large-scale human cooperation in traditional societies, particularly among the Turkana people of Kenya, one of the few remaining large-scale pastoralist warrior societies in the world. What she found was that cooperation in these groups was not naive or instinctive. It was actively enforced. People who failed to contribute to the group, who hoarded resources, who refused to join hunts, who abandoned their post during conflict, were punished. Not gently. Ostracism, social shaming, exclusion from shared resources, and in extreme cases, exile. Because free riding, taking from the group without contributing, was not just unfair, it was existentially dangerous. And the group knew it. But here is what makes this more interesting than a simple survival story. The need to be in a group did not just shape human behavior. It shaped the human nervous system itself. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago spent 20 years studying the biology of loneliness, not as a feeling but as a physiological state. What he found was striking. Loneliness is not just unpleasant. It is physically harmful in ways that rival smoking. Lonely people show elevated levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Their immune systems respond differently to threats. Their sleep is more fragmented and less restorative. Their cardiovascular systems show measurable signs of chronic stress. Their brains, under brain imaging, show heightened activity in regions associated with threat detection, as if the lonely brain is constantly scanning for danger. And this makes perfect sense from an evolutionary perspective. In the ancient world, being separated from your group was not an emotional state. It was a survival emergency. The brain that treated loneliness as a threat was the brain that motivated its owner to get back to the group as fast as possible. The brain that felt fine alone was the brain that stayed alone too long and did not survive to pass on its genes. Cacioppo called this the social baseline theory. The baseline state of the human nervous system, the state it is calibrated for, is not solitude. It is connection. When you are with trusted people, your brain downregulates its threat response. Your body uses less energy to maintain vigilance. Your cognitive resources are freed up for other tasks. Being with your group was not just emotionally preferable. It was physiologically cheaper. The body ran more efficiently inside the group than outside it. Alone, the body goes on alert. Resources are diverted to vigilance. The immune system shifts its priorities. Sleep becomes lighter. Every system in your body reconfigures itself for a threat environment, because for 300,000 years, alone was a threat environment. Think about what this means for the way you live now. You live in a world where physical separation from other humans is safe, where you can lock a door and be genuinely protected, where food can be ordered without speaking to another person, where an entire life can technically be conducted in isolation with enough technology. But your body does not know that. Your body is still running the ancient calculation. And the ancient calculation says, separated from the group is dangerous. Get back. Get back now. This is why silence in a house feels different at night than in the afternoon. This is why a cancelled plan hits harder than it should. This is why being ignored on a social platform produces a measurable stress response that feels, to your nervous system, disproportionate to the actual stakes. Because the stakes your nervous system is measuring are not the modern stakes. They are the ancient stakes. And the ancient stakes were your life. Psychologist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA has done something remarkable with brain imaging. She put participants in a brain scanner and had them play a virtual ball-tossing game with what they believed were two other players. At a certain point, the other players stopped throwing the ball to the participant, a simple, mild, virtual act of social exclusion. And the brain imaging showed something striking. The regions that activated in response to this mild social exclusion were the same regions that activate in response to physical pain. Not metaphorically, literally the same neural circuitry. Social pain and physical pain share the same processing system in the human brain. This is not a bug. It is a feature. In the ancient world, social pain needed to feel like physical pain because the consequences were equivalent. Being left out of the group could kill you just as surely as being stabbed. Evolution built the pain systems to match the stakes. Now consider the structure of ancient life for a moment. Not just the danger of isolation, but the texture of belonging. Hunter-gatherer groups spent almost every hour of every day in close physical proximity, sleeping together in clusters for warmth and protection, moving together during the day, eating together, processing food together, making tools together, tending injuries together, raising children together, not as nuclear family units but as a collective enterprise involving every member of the group. Research on contemporary hunter-gatherer societies by anthropologist Kim Hill at Arizona State University found that children in these groups were held or in physical contact with another person for more than 90% of their waking hours in infancy and remained in close physical proximity to group members throughout childhood. Not because they were coddled, because proximity was the system. Proximity was the technology that kept them alive, and the effects of that proximity were not just protective. They were developmental. Human children who grow up inside dense social groups, who are handled by multiple caregivers, who hear multiple voices, who witness the full range of adult social behavior from infancy, develop differently than children raised in social isolation. They develop more robust social cognition. They are better at reading emotional cues. They are better at navigating conflict. They develop theory of mind, the ability to understand that other people have different thoughts, feelings, and intentions than your own, earlier and more fully. Not because the group taught them these skills directly, but because immersion in the group was the school. Every interaction was a lesson in how humans work. This is what solitude costs quietly and invisibly when it comes too early or lasts too long. Not just comfort. Development. The brain builds itself in relationship with other brains. Remove the relationship and the brain builds differently. You live in a world that has made solitude not just possible, but in some cases, desirable. A world that sells privacy as luxury, that markets alone time as self-care, that measures productivity partly by the ability to work independently for long, unbroken stretches. And some of this is true. Some solitude is genuinely restorative. But the brand of total independence, the idea that needing other people is a weakness, that relying on others is a burden, that the ideal human is self-sufficient, that is the most modern idea imaginable. And it is running directly against 300,000 years of a system that said the opposite. Ancient humans never lived alone because they could not. But more than that, they never wanted to. The need for others was not a limitation they worked around. It was the architecture. It was the thing the entire human experiment was built on. The next time you feel the pull toward another person, the urge to call someone, to sit near someone, to be in the same room, even when nothing is being said, that is not weakness. That is not dependency. That is the oldest, most successful operating system your species ever built, doing exactly what it was designed to do. You were never meant to be alone. And some part of you has always known it.